So remember this case, one of the nicest cases ever made in PC history, and probably one of my favorite cases, if not the favorite. But the biggest downside of this was that this was small, but now we can make this bigger. Let's try this again. Let's check it out.
Looking for a cheap way to license your Windows? Check out Whokeys through the links in the video description. Make sure to use the code TN20 to get 25% off. Use your preferred payment method including PayPal or bank card. Go to your orders and copy the key. Paste the license to the activation settings and you're all done. This license is for Windows 10, but you can upgrade it to Windows 11 for free. Or you can buy Windows 11 Pro key instead. They also offer Microsoft Office 19 license. Use the same code TN20 to get 25% off. Check out whokeys.com in the video description below.
So then, as you can see, it's gotten a little bit bigger. So we've got the North XL on the right side and North on the left side. And XL basically means exactly what it means. It's just a little bit bigger. But I want to show you what we can actually fit now in the newer case, because the old case, the biggest downside of it was that you couldn't fit certain cooling in there. For example, only 360mm in the front and top was only 280, and it wasn't really ideal fitting the radiators in the front because you had to mix and match with, you know, there was basically issues in there. But now these are resolved. So if you're looking at the actual width of the case, we can see we've gone from 217mm to about 241mm. So about an inch extra. And you can see that by these wood slats, there is actually 11 now instead of 10. And it's a little bit longer as well. And the cool thing is, when you get this North case, as you can see, the case will be slightly varied to you because the wood is never the same. You can't produce exactly the same wood because this is real wood. You'll get something slightly different. So as you can see, on here we have a bit of a lighter patch where this seems a bit more darker, which is interesting. When we open up the front panel, you can see that now we can fit a bit more in the front as we did before. Previously, we were only able to fit 120mm fans in the front if you wanted 3, or 240mm fans, so 280 or 360 in terms of radiator length. But now the new one supports radiators up to 420mm. So if you do want to rock the new Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 420mm AIO Beast, then the new XL will support that, as you can see. It comes with 3 140mm pre-installed fans in the front for air intake, as you can see. Now that alone is a massive game changer in this case. Now the North XL comes in different versions. You can have the black or white versions and tempered glass or mesh versions. So the mesh version would mean that this side panel would be a mesh instead, and you know, we've done a build on the channel on the, you know, smaller mesh version if you want that. The panels come off exactly the same, so top panel is the same as before. We've got a little leather strap in the back there, as you can see, now just a little bit bigger. Now when we're looking inside the case, you see some big differences. So previously you can see the motherboard support over there, only ATX, and we've got only one space of rubber grommets on this side, whereas now we have a lot more space. You can put very large eATX motherboards in there because we have an extra standoff that we can fit in there. Now we can take this side panel off so you can see a little bit more on the inside. So as you can see in there, that's the little standoff points where we can put very large eATX motherboards. For example, if you've got one of the Asus WRX 80 motherboards or one of those very, very wide motherboards, then you can put this in here. If you're building more like a workstation, eATX motherboard, it's completely supported. And as you can see, the previous motherboard grommets here have been extended to 2. So if you've got an eATX motherboard that goes all the way to the end, you still have an extra grommet to put like some other cables and things behind. Also, another thing that I can see changed is on the top there. The previous North, as you can see on the very, very top, has got very limited holes to put the cables through from the hole. You can see that the CPU header in there, if you've seen any of the builds, there's only a tiny little hole in there. Whereas now there's kind of been an extension, so the case has gone taller, which means we've got these rubber grommets and it's much better to route any of the cables. So here I've got an Arctic liquid freezer 420mm, but this is the older one. And in order to mount it, what you have to do is you have to take the fans off from the radiator. The fans go on the other side, and then the radiator will easily fit in there. If you want to put fans on the inside, it's really not going to work. So this extra addition in there is very welcome change. Another thing I can see is the mesh on the power supply shroud in here is actually going a lot longer than on there. That case there has the mesh on this side, but this goes all the way to the end. So the top panel now. The previous version only supported 120 or 140mm and 2 fans. Now the radiator, if you wanted to put a radiator in there, it only supports 240 on the top because the fans will take it further down and then your other bits won't fit inside there. But you could put 140mm fans in there if you wanted to. But now they take it to another new level. In terms of radiator support, the top can support everything up to 360mm. You can put 280 in there if you wanted to, or 240 or 360 as well. In terms of fan support, it supports up to 3 120mm fans or 2 140mm fans. Unfortunately, we don't have 420mm support on the top, but we do have a filler hole in there for those water cooling experts. And as always, we've got the beautiful gold, or if you go with a white version, it's the silver accents there. For the top front panel, we have a headphone jack, mic jack, 2 USB type A, 1 type C, and then a light on power button that goes in there. Now the back side of the case. Previously, this back supported only 120mm fan on the top there, and it's pretty nice minimal design. Now, it also supports 140mm fan in there. And here you can see how the case has been extended from this I/O panel in there. As you can see, there's no space in there, but there's quite a bit of space in there. In terms of PCIe slots in here, that's still exactly the same 7 slots. This thing here is extra though, so you can actually mount all the cables that come in from, you know, the top, any motherboard cables or whatever. You can just tighten them down in here, and then it makes the cable management much nicer. Because the case got also wider, now the CPU tower support for the CPU cooling, if you go air cooler, is also extended to up to 185mm. Now, if you do get the mesh version, obviously remember there's a hinge where you can get side intake as well to your PC case, which means even more airflow or even more radiator support if you wanted to do that. So in terms of cable management, the previous one doesn't have that much space in the back here, but you do have one of the grommets there, one of them there, and cable management on the bottom. But as you can see, it is a little bit more space in here, especially because the case is slightly longer. You know, we can have more space for your power supply cables in there. You can put some 3.5-inch hard drives in the bottom there. Some 2.5-inch can be mounted in there. And you can see these rubber grommets in the back there, which make a massive difference. As you can see, previously you were only able to use that tiny little hole on the top there, and that was it, nothing else in the top, which is a little bit of an issue. So what can I say? If you're looking for a perfect looking, beautiful, minimal PC case that looks like part of your furniture, then the North XL is on top of my list. If you want to check it out, I'm going to leave the link in the description below, as well as the white version or the previous version if you're not bothered about the size. But if you do want to fit any cooling or any GPU, then in here you really can fit anything. It supports GPUs of up to 413mm. Basically no restrictions. Every GPU will fit in here. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But if you do want to build yourself the best bang for buck creator PC and you don't know which parts to use to put inside this case, for example, then I've got build guides in the video description below. And if you already have chosen some PC parts and you'd like my feedback or my input, or just want to ask any questions, you can reach out on Minect. The link for that is also in the description below. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.